This listener wrote in and said, this listener wrote in and said, I'm having a hard time being single. How do I embrace singlehood as much as some other people like to? Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about this too. I think there's a difference between embracing singlehood and there's also this way of thinking about embracing where you are today is where you're supposed to be. So I think it's not so much about embracing the fact that like I'm celebrating, I'm single. Look at me, I'm a single independent woman or a single independent man. It's embracing the transition or the state of being that you're in. And one of the best ways of embracing this phase in your life is to think like, what are the things that I get to do while I'm single that I don't get to do when I'm in a partnership? And I think one of those for me would be everything being on my own time. You know, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, without accommodating someone else. That is the freedom that you get to experience when you're single.
I was just pulling up a post that Coffee Meets Bagel put up the other day, and it says both are true. So being single sucks, and being single and let me say this again. Being single sucks, and being single has unique things I can't do in a relationship. Getting ghosted sucks, and getting ghosted has nothing to do with me. Breaking up sucks. Breaking up gives me a chance to move on to something better. Rejection sucks. Rejection is not going to stop me from trying again. So what I like about this is that you can feel like being single sucks. That's fine. That's natural. And if that's what you're feeling, we don't want to ever tell you to not feel that way. That being said, can we push ourselves to think of the positives, the flip side of it? What you were just saying, Yue, is what do I get out of this state that I may not be able to do in the future? I think one of the things that I love when I was being single was just having time to myself that I don't really feel like I have as much anymore. And it's not that it's a problem now, but it was a phase of my life that I did a lot of self-work and self-development and actually, quite frankly, set me up for where I am today. So instead of looking at it as a status you need to fix, how can you make the most of the time that you are single? And I believe Chelsea Handler put something up too about this that really resonated, is that she said, you know, that she's with Joe Coy. Yeah, sorry, I said that right. You know, she's with Joe Coy now, and she's so over the top happy. And for years, she was just like, I'm going to be single. I've accepted I'm single. And she's now saying, I finally met my person. And the irony was that he was there the entire time. But she got to a place in her own self, and same, I'm sure he did self-growth too, that got to them together. And she had a video up that said the single most important thing you can do while you're single is becoming the best version of yourself. And that doesn't mean that you need to be perfect or you need to be, you know, X, Y, and Z that you're not. It's just, how can I get a little better every day? And what we've said, become the person that you want to date. And I think if you can embrace singlehood as a season and not that there's a flaw with you, there's something wrong, it's just where you are current day and what can you do to make the most of it.
Normally, people like to view singlehood as a transitional period in between relationships. It's like that. It's like, oh, I'm on my way to my next relationship, so I'm single during this period. What if we switch the thinking and think about relationships as the transitional period in between us finding ourselves and having a relationship with ourselves? So it's a state of being that helps you understand yourself more in relation to the rest of the world versus like you seeing the world in relation to your partnership, right? So I think it's just like shifting that mindset and thinking about this as you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been so many times earlier in my life that I felt like there was something flawed about me, that I was single, that I wasn't in a relationship, that was the coveted goal. And it took me to really sink in that this was precious time that was just as good as being in a relationship, just in a different way, to get to the place that I think I did actually attract a healthy relationship, because I wasn't coming from a place of desperation or trying to fill a void. And the reality today too is that you're not just, it's not, life isn't linear with relationships. You're not single, then you're married, and then you have kids, and then you're with that person forever. There's a chance that you could become single again. We have tons of people that are divorced or widowed or whatnot, that I think the best thing you can do for yourself is be happy no matter what your relationship status is. So if things do change for some reason, you could pick yourself back up.
Yeah, I'd much rather be single and thriving than lonely and in a relationship.